The Prime Minister announced she would enshrine the date of Brexit into UK law to fanfare earlier in the autumn. Remainers slammed the move for supposedly removing flexibility from negotiations, while Brexiteers were delighted to see an endgame in sight. The PM even tabled an amendment to her own EU Withdrawal Bill to be debated next week and voted on Wednesday night. But after the shocking defeat this week that saw rebel Tory MPs help Labour force through demands for Parliament to vote on the EU deal, Brexit supporters were concerned Mrs May could pull the amendment to swerve the second loss in a week. Getty PA Twitter that Theresa May could halt a second Tory rebel Brexit to vote. The embattled Theresa May, who faced a hammering in Brussels this week thanks to bitter EU bosses, was warned to expect an even bigger Tory rebellion over her insistence on writing Brexit Day 11 p.m. on March 29, 2019 into law next week. Revolt leaders complained that putting the date in the EU Withdrawal Bill would shut down the option of extending the existing March 2019 deadline if necessary to pin down the final details of a good deal. Now an amendment has been tabled in the name of several Tories that would let the government change the date of Brexit through further legislation if negotiations were continuing. Ministers are expected to accept the compromise and so avoid a defeat for the government in the Commons on Wednesday. Getty Theresa May was let down by 11 rebel MPs. An amendment has been tabled in the name of several Tories that would let the government to change the date of Brexit through further legislation. Read more. Brexit betrayal may lose his key EU vote as Tory MPs defy Prime Minister in Remainer plot. Earlier Number 10 said there were no plans to drop the amendment to write the Brexit date into the bill. But the spokesman admitted Downing Street continued to take a pragmatic approach to the controversial legislation. Tory rebel leader Dominic Grieve said this very sensibly looks like it will resolve the issue that was troubling some of us. Thursday, December 14, 2017. Theresa May's Tory Brexit rebels leading Tory Brexiteer Bernard Jenkins, whose name is on the new amendment, said the purpose is to avoid needless division over matters of detail when we should be supporting the PM. Currently 11 MPs now face deselection calls over the decision to join with Labour to force through demands for Parliament to have a veto over the EU deal. David Hayes, Tory councillor in the Loughborough constituency of former Education Secretary Nicky Morgan, accused her of trying to reverse Brexit but voting against the government. He added, "We need to get on with Brexit and stop all this." Getty May announced she would enshrine the date of Brexit into UK law. Number 10 said there were no plans to drop May's amendment. This weakens Britain's position in the negotiating stakes. This is not really about having a parliamentary vote in 2019, they are trying to reverse Brexit. Tory ME David E. Campbell Bannerman branded the rebels a disgrace and claimed several local Tory associations had started to discuss deselection. He said they are showing a shabby disrespect for democracy and the largest vote we have had in British history. They stood on a manifesto to have a smooth Brexit, so there's no principle. It is purely about trying to frustrate Brexit, which is shameful.